I'm gonna let it
Hello.
play. Hey, I'm gonna let this play for just a minute while people come in. I just invited a whole bunch of. Let me see if I can actually share now that it's on. All right. All right. Oh boy. Like I don't know. That weight bot. They keep doing updates and I'm just keep hoping they're gonna update the weight bot, but they never do. It's
What is,
rough.
I don't understand. What is a Waybot? What is that?
So the music that's at the beginning, it's just when you're getting your show started and they, have music playing and it's just the worst music ever. There's like two songs on there that are sort of bearable. It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh, we need some like
Um
1980s music. Like get the
well, it's all
crowd.
licensed, so you can't play it. So I just
Oh,
play Danny's
right.
music because I know I got
Mhm.
permission. I have permission to play his music. But, otherwise you gotta when you're on these platforms, you gotta have the permission to use the music. So I guess they just haven't gotten to that yet, you know what I mean? So
We need
anyway.
to help them find their magic.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for people to come into here, um, I figured
Mhm.
we can do the introduction to the show and we can kind of get started because sometimes it just is people fall in as it as time passes, and that'll be cool too. Let's see, we're also live on YouTube, and
Mhm.
so I simulcast on YouTube, so it's live there as well, so that I guess people can get it in more than one place. So I don't want to wait too long to get rolling. So
Well, and there's an energy when we speak, there's an energy. So, the energy of this moment that's being conveyed when people listen or watch to the replay, they'll still get the energetic downloads. Oh, thanks. I was like itching my nose. I was like, how nice is that? I get to come up. Oh, I'm not here yet. Okay, hi. I'm still learning a little bit about how this all works. So, I
yeah,
see
it's a
one
little.
person down there.
Hey, Frankie.
I see
Yeah,
Frankie and Woody.
yeah. So um yeah, so it's a little different. This platform is a little different because there's no pre-production. You can't really do anything, so all the stuff that you want to do, you got to do it once you start the show. So it's fun. It keeps you on your toes. Sooner or later
Okay.
you just really want a producer and somebody else maybe doing it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to do the intro for the show because when we come back to this, I'll usually edit some of the front end talk down so that when I move things over to the podcast, it'll be a little bit of a cleaner version. So I'm going to give the description about the show before we get started, and I'll introduce myself, and then I'll let you introduce yourself because um, since we're going to have a regular spot on here with each other, I just want people to kind of get used to knowing who we are and what that's about too. So, my name is Deanna. You are in the Laughter After Trauma show. And I am a speaker, an educator, and a coach that tries to bring light and lightness to the heavy topic of trauma. And just a thriver after IPV, which led me to find my laughter and the beauty and the healing. And so that's why I come to you with this show. I just believe we're all magic. We have what's inside of us. We are all self healers. And I say this in the introduction of every show. So, my goal here is just to bring people together and show that everyday people can do this and find their laughter after, and so can you. So we can find hope and connection in a community. So it's interesting because in that introduction, I always say that I believe we are all magic and we are all self healers. And then you and I were talking earlier, and that's kind of how you started talking about this, and I'm like, that subject just resonates with me so much, finding your magic. So first, Sheila, introduce yourself so that we know who you are, and then we will get into what tonight's show is about.
So I'm Sheila. I'm Deanna's co-host tonight, and Deanna and I got together I think it was a year ago from today. We started on Clubhouse, and we started doing a Tools for Trauma room. And Deanna's, she's gifted with speaking, and I enjoy speaking, but not as much as Deanna. So I'm more of a hands-on person. So I'm a massage therapist and a life coach and an energy coach, and I help people work through. I help them work through pain, physical pain, and then also their emotional pains and things that get lodged in their psyche or in their body through energy work and massage and coaching and life coaching. So I'm really I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk about this topic.
Yeah, and so I
Thanks.
think that one of the things that we are going to be doing at the end of each month, we are going to be talking about different tools, tips, things that we've learned, things that we use in our practice, and it's going to come to you in a show at the end of each month. And the thing that I like about us working together is that there is a specific energy, I think, that goes between us. And I love that because that energy then translates into how we present things on the show. And it gives us, I feel like it's an exponential or compounding effect, right? That comes to the show. So I love that. Thanks, Frankie. And we've had a couple of people show up. Hi, Dan. Hi, Peter. And so it's really it's really cool. And today's topic is, like, I like to say it's a little mystical, but I love that. So today's topic is, how do you find your magic? So let's talk. Like, how did we come up with this? I think this was mostly your idea, even though I love this idea.
Well, I picked up a book that I just happened to see at the library. So we're kind of referencing from this book by Deepak. It's called Deepak Chopra, for those of you that were wondering. He has a last name. It's called Abundance, the Inner Path to Wealth. And he wrote this book actually prior to COVID. However, he finished the publication process in the summer after COVID started in 2020. And here it is now in print. And I read the whole thing in a few days. Probably shouldn't have done that because there's way too much in there. So I know I need to buy the book and mark it up. But Deanna and I were coming together and meeting, the great minds were meeting, like, where should we go this week? Right. And I said, well, there's one. Thanks, Dan. I think that was Dan. So there's like there was something that really stuck with me, and I think this entire book is, it's not that long, but Deepak, it's, you could read a page like 50 times and try and understand what he's saying. 238 pages, and there was one thing that really stuck with me about magic, because I always assumed magic was good. Just like we talk about affirmations. Affirmations are always, we think, are good. And we know that affirmations aren't always good. Like we can tell
Right.
ourselves things that aren't positive, that we don't feel
Mhm.
beautiful, we don't feel loved, or we don't feel secure, we're not making enough money, or I'm not lovable, or people aren't calling me, they just don't like me, no one's texting
Mhm.
me today, no one cares about me, no one remembered
Mhm.
my birthday, I don't matter. And then the more we say those things, we draw in that energy. So we want to be really careful, right, where we put our mindset. So I kind of like the parallel with this as we get into the discussion of magic, because there's good magic and bad magic. That's why some people, you just look at them and wonder, why are things flowing so well for them? Or how did they just get that promotion? Or why are they, having that new car? Like, how did that come so easily for them? They put themselves in situations where they allow that flow, and we're
Mhm.
going to talk more specifically about how that comes together. There's also bad magic, and that's when can also accumulate some negative energy. And
Yeah.
he calls it magic. I think it could parallels energy. What do you think, Deanna?
Right. No, when I was reading it, I thought the same thing. I thought how much it really does relate to I think energy is not enough of an explanation because I think that and saying aura might be too much of an explanation, but that's what I feel like it is. So I have a story and I'm going to tell you this story because it relates to this in my mind anyway. So a couple weekends ago, I did this charity race called Running with the Bulls in New Orleans, and I did it with Allison Cook. She comes on here. She does a cooking show. I met her through Fireside. She was coming to New Orleans, and I was like, "We got to do something." She's like, "Well, I'm coming for Running with the Bulls," and I'm like, "I don't even know how we have bulls here. What are you talking about?" So anyway, we don't. It's roller derby girls. But anyway, that's not the point. So in the city, there's no place to park. She was staying in the city. So I took a lift into the city to meet up with her to do this race. And so I got into the lift car, and the guy who was driving was Indian, right? And so he had a really neat name. I can't remember what his name was. And I said, "Oh, are you from here? How long have you lived here?" And so he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm from India, but I've been here for 30 years." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And so we started talking, and, I don't even remember what I said, right? I'm just being me. I'm just talking. I'm smiling in the back seat. There's no way he's looking at me. He's driving, right? But there was an energy exchange between us that he was just I could tell he was just like this really cool dude, and he was open and nice and real. And so we chatted until we got there, and I thanked him for the ride, and he's like, "I'm so glad I got you for my ride. You made my day." And I was like, "What?" Okay, thank you. So I thought that was really cool. But I think that kind of explains what we're going to dive into a little bit with the magic that we're
Yeah,
talking about, because
sure does.
that is the difference between what you say maybe is good magic and what is bad magic, right? I think it's that
Well,
exchange.
that exchange that you just had was absolutely an energetic exchange. And sometimes, and Gianna knows this, but while I'm working on people or while I'm in conversation, like I just get messages and things channel through me. And so that was absolutely what was happening. So that's what's happening when I'm hearing you talk. I'm hearing that affirmation. At the base of this, like we're all just humans. We're all souls having a human experience. And
Mhm.
when we take ourselves, and we're going to talk about our egos, right? When we get into our ego space, that's where we deny ourselves. Like, oh, I'm not going to talk to the Lyft driver. I don't know them. They don't know me. I'm only in here for a few minutes. And there's all these. We build up all these stories about how we're so disconnected, and we really aren't. And you just made me think about something that happened today when I was at the grocery store. I was checking out, and I'm just like, I just want to get in, I want to get out, I want to get to the next place. Like I don't spend a lot of time being present when I'm checking out of the grocery store. And the cashier, he was really trying to connect with me, and he was this really nice older man, and he was, we were kind of in a hurry, and we're checking out, and he's like pausing, and he's like, "So why did you pick the portobello mushrooms? Like, have you cooked them before, and how do you like to cook them?" And I could see, like, my 17-year-old daughter who had to get to work, I could see her cringing, like, could we just keep going? But I wanted to see where he was going with this. And so he was telling me like how you could, you just want to just like slice a little bit off the top or poke it just to allow the air to filter through. So you actually get a better roasted mushroom, and it takes the water out, and it tastes meatier. And then, something else came through that he was scanning, and he was giving me another tip about the basil, which I never knew that you're not supposed to put basil in the refrigerator because that's what makes it turn black or brown. And we left the store. I mean, the whole exchange maybe cost us like 2 minutes. It was no big deal. But in my head, I'm thinking, that's a long time to converse with somebody when you're not expecting it. But that exchange, I was so proud of myself when I walked away because I thought, I need to do that more because that was really valuable. Like how would he have felt if I had shut him down? Like if he asked me about the mushroom and I was like, yeah, I cook with mushrooms all the time. And I just had that hurried attitude. That would have maybe shut him down from opening up to the next. I never think about what that feels like to the other person in that moment. I'm thinking about myself, like my ego, my schedule, my life. Anyhow, I just thought that was really interesting parallel to what you said.
Right, and it kind of leads into what we are going to be talking about in here, because there is magic behind your words in the way that you say them. It's not just about the word, and that's why I love how he brings this out, and I hope it was within the pages that we were talking about, but I think it is.
It
And it's
is.
about, okay, and I went a little further anyway, and it's about the fact that you can say something and have a tone, and that same thing, those same words with the same definition behind those words, has a different meaning. It's why texting is difficult because you don't always get the meaning behind the words. So if you're in a bad mood or something went wrong for you and you get that text message that says, "What's for dinner?" you get snarky, like, "Hey, why are you asking me what's for dinner? You're perfectly capable." Or, you know what I'm saying? It could automatically come like that. Or, and so that is, and it happens when you talk to somebody. His example was a woman leaving, going, "Honey, where's my keys? I can't find my keys. Do you know where my keys are?" And then somebody going, "No, I don't know where your keys are." Meaning, okay, I'm aggravated with you because I'm feeling bad about myself. Because, in his example, I'm unemployed and you are employed, and I'm feeling bad about myself, and you're trying to find your keys to go to work.
Yeah, well, there's an
Or,
expectation that, oh, you're not working, so you should be helping me find my keys, and he's not working. He could see you leaving for work, not finding your keys, and feeling that could reinforce the guilt of not
right.
being
So there
employed
could
and
be an
not having.
intention. Right. So there
Yeah.
could be an intention behind what she said too. But then the flip side of it is maybe he loves being a stay at home dad, and there's no intention behind what she said or he said. She just asked she just asked for her keys, and he just said, "No, I don't know where your keys are." But the way you say it tells you what the
Yeah.
intention is. And that's
Well,
what the
it's not just the way
magic
you say
is.
it, it's the way you feel it, right? So when
There
you
you go.
speak,
There
like
you go.
I can feel your word, I can feel your energy, which there's a quote in here. It's like people don't remember what you say, they remember basically how you make them feel. So you could
Right.
say the most beautiful, you could say, you could just compliment someone and just what a good job they did on their speech, or what a good job you did on your fireside tonight, Deanna. But you can tell when I'm not being genuine. And so that's not feeling like a compliment to you, but you can also feel if I did no emojis and I sent you a text, like I've done this before, right? I just sent you like one sentence and I was like, you did a really good job. I think you can feel that I'm being very intentional, right? I don't
Right.
need to do
Right.
like 1,000 emojis, and so that people can feel your inauthenticity in your
Yeah,
energy.
and you're really good at it. So I know when you're doing it where it's coming from, because I know you and you're really good at doing that. I'm not the best at following up with people, but you're really good at that. Like, always. It's probably one of your best, well, I wouldn't say it's one of your best qualities, but it is a pretty amazing quality that you
Okay, thank you.
always do follow up and encourage and compliment and let people know that you like the way they showed up. And that's amazing. I have been doing the scrolls from The Greatest Salesman, and it's something that shows you how to show up each day. And one of the things that it said in there is greet everyone that you, it was the scroll that says, I'm going to meet everyone with love. I'm going to greet the day with love. And it says to everyone that you see in your life, everyone you approach in your life, when you approach them, you say to yourself and in your heart, I love you. You meet that person with love. And when you do that, it shifts the energy, and without a word, you feel that shift. You feel that between, and that's why even when I get into a lift car or wherever I'm out and about, I just make sure that that's what I'm putting out. Before I got pulled over by a cop, you know, and I was like speeding. I didn't realize it, but I was going like, I don't know, 15, 16 miles over the speed limit, and it was right before the speed limit went up, and so I hadn't hit the increase yet. And um and I got pulled over. My son was in the car, and he says, the cop says, um did you know you were speeding? And I'm like, seriously, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I thought I was in the new zone, but like, my son ran out of gas. We are going to put gas in his car. I was caught up. And he was like, okay, let me take your information. So he gets the information. He goes back to the car. He comes back. He says, look, I need you to be really careful. You are not to the increased speed yet. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I appreciate it. Whatever. And he leaves, and I leave. And my son looks at me and goes, seriously? Like, do you ever get a ticket? And I'm like, rarely. No, because I before that guy walked up to my car, I said in my mind, I love you. I mean, he's doing a job. He's protecting our streets. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And I'm going to respect that. And I'm going to take whatever happens because I was speeding. So, anyway, I just do think it's all anyway, I kind of got off the subject.
No, you didn't get a cyber. So can I just break that down, what you just said? First of all, I'm just going to make a little bit of a joke. Like, I'm going to make a joke.
And
like,
hang on one second. Frankie, welcome to the stage, but let us have a minute to talk, and then we're going to let you talk. Okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Sheila. I'm sorry.
So you were just like, you're moving so fast through the energies all the time. So you can't even keep up with the speed limit. So I was just gonna make a joke about energy. So kind of what happened there, and I sent you a link before we started on the show. If anyone wants to, if you want to post that, you're more than welcome to. But that was a link to something that, that was a link to something that somebody sent me today, which was right on par with what we're talking about. And a lot of abundance, which is connected to finding your magic. So when you're like in your zone, okay, Deepak talks about that a lot in the book, like being in your zone, having access to creative intelligence. And, when you're in this, I think it's called Shakti is the name for it in Sanskrit. But anyhow, when you're making all those movements, right, then you're in your good magic. And when you express, I can't see anyone but myself up here. I'm hoping Deanna's there somewhere. Everything.
I am. I was going. I'm here. I was just
going
to grab the link.
I'm not leading this by myself.
No, I was just going to get that link. Go ahead. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So when you express gratitude for things and you say thank you, like thank you before you even receive it, thank you before you eat your food, thank you before, thanking the cashier. I always say thank you afterwards, but even in your head, like sometimes when I'm in a hurry in the checkout lane and I don't have, my turn's not coming up, or somebody gets in another lane before me, I'm like, thank you, because I must have needed this extra couple minutes to gather myself. I need to slow down. Thank you, whoever you want to call it, God, the universe, thank you. Like, thank you for pausing me because I needed this pause, instead of being angry that somebody cut me off and got the space and the checkout line. It's the same thing. That's what was going on with you and the law enforcement official. I'm not condoning speeding. Then you can just put the good vibes out there and get out of your ticket. But but the intention that you had was, ethically, you knew you were in the wrong and you weren't upset about it. You were like, I'm willing to accept this, and he's doing his job, and I'm grateful because, I want our kids to feel safe in this neighborhood. I want my grandkids to feel safe, and they're doing what they need to do. So he was acting in his highest ethics. You were acting in your highest ethics, and he received that energy from you. He could see the goodness. He could feel, even if he didn't say it, he could feel the energy coming off of you. You were in the flow. You're like, I'm ready to receive whatever I need to receive. And that was the exchange. And you didn't need to learn. You didn't need to have anything else. You didn't need to have a ticket. Sorry, you didn't need to. That's energy coming through me when that happens. But you didn't need to have a ticket. You didn't. Nothing else needed to happen. Everything that had to happen happened in the exchange
Right.
and the conversation. That's really such like a weird thing people just don't understand. But when I start coaching with people, they start to get it, and sometimes they don't. But all that matters when we're talking and I say stuff, it just goes, whew, I don't even know what she was talking about. It doesn't matter because the energy is traveling through my voice. It's on the screen. It's all flowing. So it's all, this is what
Right.
this is a creative, this is a, I already lost the language from Deepak's book. Creative consciousness. I think that was the words I was trying to find. Anyhow, Frankie's here. I'm gonna mute myself. I'd love to hear.
Well, one of the things I want to say real quick too is something that you said, Sheila, that came to my mind when you said it, and you said, thank you for whatever. I picked this up in one of my mastermind classes with someone who says, "What a pleasure," and she was British, and so she has that accent. So she always said, anytime you find yourself in that situation where you have to learn something, she would say, "What a pleasure." And I'm like, okay. So now anytime it happens, I say it, and I say it with that accent. I have to be like, "What a pleasure." So you know what I'm saying? Like that's the way it even comes into my brain. And but it makes
I dare you to go to a coffee shop in your neighborhood and talk, and when you get your coffee, what a pleasure.
I will do it. Don't dare me to
But
do
so he said, this is
anything.
creative intelligence. It's creative intelligence, and that's what's happening right now. By the way, the link, and I know Frank is waiting, but that link to is also, it's a Kabbalah link. That's a Kabbalah thing as well. I believe it's the same phrase, what a pleasure. And David, who is one of the instructors that I love listening to him talk, he always says, like, when something happens to his disadvantage, he always says, like, what a pleasure. Like, what a pleasure. Like, thank you for bringing, like, it's like, thank you for bringing this lesson to my awareness. So, yeah, it's a Kabbalah
Yeah.
thing too. And you just
I
posted the link. That's so
right.
weird.
So yeah, so full circle right there. So Frankie, what you have to add to this? You have something you want to add?
Well, there, Deanna from New Orleans. um, Anyways, no, I wanted to do a quick input on the whole magic talk before I forget about it. I have a true story. It'll be real quick, and then I'll jump off. I used to do outside sales, and the sales I did, it wasn't easy. I worked in the middle of a mall between Victoria's Secret and the pretzel place, so it was a very indecisive 8 hours every time I worked. So, anyways, in the mornings there'd be the mall walkers, normally you finally caught it.
I caught
People
it.
the mall walkers are not really friendly people. They're just
No.
not. And I didn't go and try to draw people in to sell them anything. I had my company shirt on. They knew I worked there. And I'll never forget this day, this one mall walker that I had never had a chance to say hi to even. She came walking by, and I used to just kind of pace around my kiosk, and happen that morning she comes walking by, and I go, "Hi," and she goes, "I'm not interested." And I'm like, "Ma'am, I was just saying hi." And she was like, "Oh, well, some guys were at my door the other day trying to sell that to me. What's it all about?" It was my best sale in the quarter. And not only that, she brought me like 20 or 25 referrals.
Oh
And
wow.
really, I was just saying hi. I wasn't trying to sell her because I see her every day. She sees me every day. She knows I work there. And by me just being me, because I can't not talk, it's a disease. Um, I just, I'm the guy that brought the bunny ears in because we didn't have live TV feed and we're selling TV service, and had the Bills game on, and we beat the Patriots the first time in like 20,000 years. And I had the whole mall crowd around my kiosk with bunny ears.
Uh,
That's who I am. But yeah, no, I wanted to make point of that because that falls exactly into the topic that you girls are talking about, magic. And that's how easy it happens. It's just by being nice and talking to people like they're not expecting you to talk to them, and almost catching them off guard where they're forced mentally, psychologically, to respond in a civil manner. and then you find out who they really are. And typically they're nice people. They just put the front on as I'm going to say no and stick to it. And I wasn't even asking her for anything except to say hi. So I thought that fell into your story. And with that, I'll jump off. Deanna, of course, we'll talk through the back channel. And Sheila, congratulations and good luck to you. And I'll talk to you girls later. Thank you.
All right, thanks for adding, Frankie. That does fall right in line with this, and it's something we are going to talk about a little bit about where that comes from, because it's about an alignment with your values and making sure you're staying in integrity is all kind of part of it. And going back to the Greatest Salesman book too, is it kind of links to this because it's all linked together. If you become a good person and you are providing value, that's what you need to do. It's not about selling. It's never about selling. So, and that's, I feel like what you expressed there, Frankie, was that. Sheila, you muted.
I know. First of all, Frankie, I love when you come on. So you never talk too much. It's really nice. It loosens the airspace, like just to have a male energy up here. It's really nice. And I know Peter's waiting to talk, but I just wanted you just nailed it. It's in that video. What you just said is in that video, Deanna, and that is I think her name is Batsheva. She's just, when you hear her talk, you're gonna like your mind. You're gonna be mind blown. She talks a lot about money and the energy behind money and creating and manifesting. She's a very highly skilled manifester. She's manifested so many things in her life. But one of the things she talked about is if there is not value behind what you're doing, then there's not. It's like someone can say, I want to make $1 million, and they can try to manifest that by creating the business to do that. But if that's all that the intention is, just to earn the money, that money will be gone. It will go away. But if there's something that you're doing, as long as what you're doing is adding value to other people's lives and you're living your purpose, the money that you need to sustain yourself will always be there. So I just love when you said that. So
Agreed. All right, Peter, welcome.
Thank
How
you
are
so
you?
much. Good. Can I come on camera?
Absolutely. I know you always ask. Hang on one second. Let's invite you to video. There you go. There you are.
Hello.
Hey.
Not
Got
to
a little hair
always.
trim,
Oh yes, I
mustache,
do.
hair trim, looking sharp.
Thank you very much. So not to, I don't want to always be the guy coming on your show, but your show's so awesome. I can't
No,
help it.
I love you coming on my show. Come on.
And I was
It's
just
an our
going to
show today.
kind of watch, but then Sheila, when you brought up Kabbalah, I couldn't help but want to expound on that a bit because I'm actually a very active mentor at the Kabbalah Center for
Oh,
David Guillaume's classes and stuff. And yeah, the pause, what a pleasure. There's so many people that come through there and say maybe only even take the introductory course, much less like, go through Kabbalah 1, 2, 3. But so many people have said pause, what a pleasure has changed their life. Whenever any situation comes in front of you, good, bad, anything, like if the first thing you do is pause, and the second part of pause, what a pleasure, according to David and Kabbalah, is why is this in my movie? So especially if it's something of a negative sense, like if someone comes at you or if something doesn't feel right, if you pause, don't be reactive. No matter how long that pause is, 10 seconds or 2 days or whatever. And the object behind it is that the universe, God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, put that negativity, that uh, obstacle, that person in your life in that moment with that negativity for a reason, or the positivity, but usually it's the negative that you got to be careful about being reactive and just survey yourself, like, why did the universe put that person in my movie saying that? And it's an amazing tool. So I just wanted to expound on that and say that thank you for bringing it up. That's really cool.
yeah. I love that tool too. And the girl who shared it with me may have mentioned about Kabbalah, but at the time, it was a while back and I wasn't really paying attention to where she came from with it. I was I was very immersed in the application of it. And I loved it. Like I use it when I'm driving, like Sheila said, if somebody cuts you off or something like that, and you go, okay, well, thanks, because maybe I didn't need to be in that spot. Maybe it saved me from something else that's coming down the road, that split second, now I'm not going to be in that place at that time. And that's kind of how she had brought it up. And she said, just say, what a pleasure. And I'm telling you, I have to say it with the accent. It's just the way it is. I don't know. Other people might want to say it in my New Orleans accent, which is not the accent Frankie tried to do, just so you guys know. That is
And
not how
Sheila,
he said
also Sheila, the tool you shared about, creating abundance and money is spirituality. If you treat your finances spiritually, no matter what that means, like if you want to be a millionaire because you know what an impact you can have on so many people's lives, and not just like I'm going to be on the cover of Forbes or whatever. So
Yeah,
thank you. It's
absolutely.
like, once again, I watch this show with your guest, Deanna, and I just get so much inspiration and motivation and enlightenment.
it.
So
Last
thank
week,
you.
your guest was on my show. Did you catch last week's
Oh yeah,
show?
no,
Did you
I
catch
need
the
to watch
replay?
the replay.
You
Gosh
need to
darn it, I
watch
missed
it.
last.
Yes, you need to go watch it. But thank you for connecting us. And that's the other thing that I think is beautiful about energy and about magic, right? So Sheila and I met a while ago, years ago, not just 1 year ago. We met years ago, but we reconnected a year ago and kind of got to know each other better and started doing a show about this on Clubhouse. And we decided to bring it over here. So she and I are going to be co hosting this every single week. Yes, be grateful and have faith, because we I feel like our energy and the timing of this coming back around was just the right time, and it was the right thing to do. And so it's really cool. And then the connection with Peter, he jumped off, and I met him through somebody else on Fireside. We connected. He connected me with somebody else that came on last week who just wrote a book. He's a psychologist. He's really works a lot in the men's community and men's mental health. So it's just, I love the flow of energy that happens around this, and that's one of the reasons why I love doing the show. I mean, I don't think it's me having a great show. I think it's me connecting with some amazing people. Sheila happens to be one of them.
Oh no, I'm just listening. Like, you're on a roll. So I'm just. Do you want to give people some tangibles, because I know in
Yes,
our Clubhouse we did tools for trauma, and we gave. I mean, do you want to? I
yes,
have
let's
like
do
some
that
of. We can
because,
give people some examples of like what
yep,
it means to be okay. So we made we used some keywords. Creative. Oh, I keep saying creative consciousness. I know it's not creative.
collective,
No, it's
collective.
creative intelligence. It's creative
Oh, creative
intelligence. So you
intelligence.
want to
That's what
be
it was.
connected to your creative intelligence. You want to be in your flow. So we talked about good magic and bad magic. The difference between, if you want to call magic like, your influence, or where your energy is going. There's different, but magic. Okay, magic is like, the vibe you're giving off, your good vibe, your bad vibe, your good. All right, so how do you know which one you're in, and what happens when you're in one or the other? Now, as Deanna said in the very beginning, what can really clue you in when you're thinking about your inner magic is, what is your intention? Because you could be saying something really nice to somebody, like the Mean Girls. That movie is like a
Yeah.
perfect example. Like they're they're just being so sweet to everyone, and then they're just whispering, behind that person's back, and they're
Hmm.
really backstabbing. Or like the epitome of like a Southern belle. So I went to school in the South for 3 years. They could be some. I'm not saying all, but like some, Southern women could be just all joyful and sweet on the outside, and then, you know,
Bless
behind
your
closed
heart.
doors, you better be careful. All
Bless
right,
your
so
heart.
good magic.
Right.
All right.
It's a very dangerous saying. I live in the South. I come from the South and Southern Belles. Don't play. I
We
know
need a whole separate
it.
section on Southern Bells.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that could be next month's show. All right. So good magic is at work when the atmosphere is relaxed. Example right now, the other person or person shows good body language. Your words are greeted with smiles, nods, and other signs of agreement. You're enjoying what you say. issues are being cleared up. You feel that you're speaking your truth. You are being really authentic in those interactions that you mentioned tonight, especially with that Lyft driver. There is a sense of peace in the room, except when Frankie's clapping all the time. Joking, Frankie. I was being funny. See? Creative answers are emerging. Everyone shows signs of cooperating, and you feel heard and understood. So when you feel that level of acceptance and when you're in a group, that's like good energy and good vibes. Did you want to read the bad magic, Deanna?
Oh, sure. So there's a lot of opposites, but it's not only just directly opposite statements. So I really enjoyed when I was reading this too. So the atmosphere is tense, right? The other person or persons that you're engaged with show tight body language. And this was a point I wanted to bring up that I forgot. I'm going to keep reading it, but I want to say this. Body language, that is the most primal of all languages. You hear that and you feel that before any words are ever spoken. You can feel it before eye contact is made. And so we started at a younger age being told to tune out of that by parents or authority figures telling us, this isn't polite. Don't do that. No, you have to do that. You got to listen to this, or hug your uncle, or sit on his lap, or, go over here when you don't want to. And you start getting these messages that you have to do the polite thing. That's the right thing. And you ignore yourself. So when I think of this body language, if it's tense, you can know if something is off. That's when bad magic is at work. Your words are greeted with blank stares of boredom. You are not enjoying what you say. Issues are getting confused or more tangled up. You feel that your words are ineffectual. There is a sense of conflict or opposition in the room. No consensus is emerging on how to move forward. And you don't feel heard or understood. So those are examples of when, quote unquote, bad magic is at work. I think I covered them all.
No, I guess the question is, like, when you're in, you did that such a good job, Deanna, reciting those examples. And so we want to make sure we don't leave things in a bad magic note by putting that energy out there. So the next little paragraph after that, it talks about being aware of how different good magic feels from bad magic, like understanding the difference and getting a clear sense of, how right speech is meant to work. So the next step would be to bring in like the creative intelligence, and you don't have to manipulate like a bad situation to turn it in the right direction. So aligning yourself with creative intelligence prevents a bad situation in the first place from happening. But, the most natural way to be is really just to be yourself. So, again, like if you're in a situation where you're driving, and none of us are perfect, but someone cuts you off suddenly and you just want to flip them off, or you're in the grocery store, and somebody, the lines get long and you find an empty lane and someone suddenly gets in front of you. You have plans to go do something with friends. They're last minute, they cancel on you. They're not feeling well. You see pictures on social media later where they went out to a music fest. I mean, there's a lot of ways that we could like easily get into that negative zone. And something Deanna and I talked about a little bit before is just, like we really are all human. So or was this Peter that said this? I think Peter said this. Like when negative things are happening to us, it's instead of thinking like it's an all out attack, like that, bad magic, that negative mojo or energy, it's like, why is this happening for me? Thank you. What a pleasure. Like for now, what is it? What is this revealing? It's revealing an insecurity maybe that I have in a relationship. It's, lack of friendships, scarcity with friendships. It's revealing with, the line at the grocery store is, oh, I don't deserve to be first. I don't deserve to have good things happen to me. It happens to other people. Or in the car example that you were giving and somebody cuts you off, is all people are inconsiderate. I do that all the time. I'm like, all people are just so inconsiderate. My kids are like, Mom, just calm down. I'm like, you're right. I didn't mean that. I look up at the sky. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't look up at the sky while I'm driving. I wait till, pause. But, the point is, I think that we can easily call reframes, so that we want to quickly learn the lesson and then move on. We don't want that bad magic energy to follow us into the next situation, because energy can get stuck on us. And then before you know it, you're like a magnet for people cutting you off all day, and you're a magnet for people cutting you off in different stores all day.
So, and I love this. So, first of all, when you are in that, one of the things Peter brought up is also the pause before you say, what a pleasure, to pause. And the pause gives you that moment to just be and sit with whatever it was, right? But the other thing, like you were saying, is if you are in that mode, you tend to continue in that mode. And so the pause kind of helps to interrupt that, so that you can actually go, what a pleasure. And then you can actually, I can't say it any other way, sorry. And so you interrupt it, and you're able to ask that question and start to learn what it is that you have to learn. And that is the universe telling you that these things are happening for you, not to you. So, and I love that. It was something else, but I can't remember what it was right now. 'Cause I had two thoughts, but I only was able to remember one. So it'll come to me.
I think you did a great job of like summarizing everything that we just talked about, and I think we did it. We said it all, and I think the pause part, that was, creative intelligence in motion here, with Peter coming up, Frankie bringing in the laughs, and also Frankie brought in more than laughs. He brought in a very effectual example, of how when you're present and your intention is just to be friendly, even if you're supposed to be selling something, you're a salesperson, and you just take yourself out of the brain of being a salesperson and I'm just a human. I chose to be a salesperson because I like connecting with people. I just like connecting with people. I like saying hi. I like knowing how they're doing. I like finding out where they're from. I like knowing their interests. I just want to learn about people and interact. I don't care about the quota I have to reach today and selling whatever it is I have to sell. He just was like, I'm just saying hi. And the person, we don't know what level of experience that woman had before she interacted with Frankie. Perhaps she had some bad magic experiences, and here's Frankie reframing and being so friendly, and look what happened. He got a great sale, and he got great referrals because he was being authentic. He was in his creative intelligence. He was being himself. And then, when Peter came up and talked about the pause, that is what, Deanna, what you were just talking about, is really the most important part about finding your magic. That is how you find your magic. You find it in the pauses. You find it in.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember what I wanted to say.
Good.
Okay, when you started talking, it brought it back, because there is, and that's what this book is about, abundance, right? And abundance isn't only something we experience in money, okay? A lot of people think that's the only place where abundance matters, but it's not. So when you're standing in the line at the grocery and you think you don't have 2 minutes of time to interact with the clerk or the cashier that's checking you out, that is a scarcity mindset of time, right? And when you're getting cut off in traffic, it is a scarcity mindset that says you're stopping me from getting where I need to go when I need to get there. So again, when you are working in your good magic, when your good magic is at work within you, when you're aligned, your intentions will be more like what Frankie said. I'm not pressing for the sale. I'm worried about the impact and the way I relate to people, right? And I don't care who you are. If you're in sales, first of all, everybody's in sales. Okay. We all are selling. We're selling ourselves, if nothing else, right? You sell yourself to your kids every day. You are always selling. Okay. That's the first thing. Secondly, if you are worried about the impact that you're going to make, the sales follow that. And that's what this abundance book talks about too. The abundance that you want in your life, whether you want more time, more money, more freedom, more friends, more, family around you, a better, um, loving relationship and partnership, whatever it is, the impact and the magic that you put out is what is going to pull that in. That's what the magic is. And I really do feel like I said, we all have magic inside of us, whether you have to heal from trauma, you have the power, the ability, the capability, and the magic within you to do it because you are meant to heal. That is you, it is your divine right. And therefore, you have the ability to do it. And I feel like tapping into shows like this, um, tapping into experiences of people, getting tips and tools, but also hearing guests that come on who talk about their experiences and how they've overcome things and what they've used to overcome it. Like I interviewed Peter, and he taught me a lot of stuff about how his mindset is something that helped him to overcome things. I think Melissa she's not on here anymore. Yeah, she's on here. I interviewed her, lots of grief and stuff that she's been through. And the mindset is something that has allowed her to overcome things. That's the magic. That's the magic that's in there. But the thing is, like, Melissa's a childhood friend and I know a lot about her. Peter, I didn't know he had anything to do with being involved in the Kabbalah Center and training where he is. That didn't come up in our conversation in our interview. So I just learned something new about him tonight. So that was pretty cool. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, I don't want to be on camera. I'm
Okay.
sick. No, okay. All right, all right. Well, that's one thing I wanted to say about what you were saying. Um, just recently, last weekend, I was at I was at a near death experience. Okay, this is be my fifth time. I'm a cat. I'm convinced of it. Anyway, this is different from the other times because the other times I had time to prepare to say, but this, had I not gone to the hospital, I would be dead. And I would not have time to say goodbye or anything. So what's really helped me what awakened in me from that, long story short, is that your words matter. And what do you want your last words to be to somebody, to anybody, that's going to remember you. And do you want to leave it horrible or good? And because something, like, I say this to you right now, and then tomorrow, one of us could be dead. What's my point? It's part of developing your good magic, by keeping that mindset open to good things. What do I need to learn from this situation, and how can I use it in my life?
I agree.
I don't know if that made any sense, but it's what made me think when you were talking.
No, it makes perfect sense. And the sense that I think that really comes out of it is we take for granted that we're going to have the next moment. And so
Yes.
instead of being in this moment all that we can be with the people that we love while we're doing whatever, we take for granted that there's going to be another moment. So we have to do this and that and hurry in this moment. And most of us don't recognize or get the opportunity to learn, like you did,
Yeah,
that this moment is the only moment.
absolutely. And
And
it's scary
right.
when you think about it. When you come face to face to that, like I said before, I've been in those instances, but I had time to prepare, time to, think and whatever, blah, blah, blah. This was not one of those times. This was, had you waited 2 more hours, idiot, you would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I wouldn't, and that just woke me up.
Yeah. What were
So,
you going to say, Sheila? I know you were getting ready to add something.
No, well, Melissa, I'm so glad you're okay. I mean,
Thank you.
that's a root of, like, our anxiety and our fear is that we're not tapped into our intuition and we're not using gratitude. So, whoa,
Yes.
very grateful that you were listening to your intuition. And I think you're very protected, by the way. I think you have a very keen sense of your intuition, and maybe it's not something you're like always tapped into, but it's there for you. So
No, I'm
anyhow, that
tapped
was,
into it.
yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm having like a 60-second like interaction without just hearing your voice, and so that makes sense. But I'm doing my best. It was just a little message that came through.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I wanted to piggyback on what Melissa said. We are just, and Deanna said we're present, we're in the moment, we're here, we're now. That this is all that matters, and how we treat people now is, it could be the last time we interact with them. So let's be careful, with our words. Even if we're in a bad mood, let's be careful not to take them out on somebody, or if we are upset, to be emotionally removed when we confront somebody, so they don't have to feel like the intensity of our emotions being dumped onto them. However, also, when you're in the moment and you are having a reaction or an interaction with somebody in that bad magic category, you, by continuing in it, because we summarized at the end, when you're in good magic and bad magic, having that awareness, given the examples. If you're just coming on, you can replay it. But if you know that you're not in good magic, and you continue to accumulate bad magic moments throughout your day, in the moment, if you're not aware and you just keep going, then you're just, so in this moment here and now, we're also, how do I say this? We're also kind of birthing the next moment. We're also creating, the next moment's already being created for us. Okay. So it's like, if you imagine our lives like a box with like all different sides, and we're in this one side. And if you stay in good magic, maybe you go this way, but if you're in bad magic, there could be like alternate realities that can, so this moment could have gone in a lot of directions, but the direction that you chose was the direction you chose. And that's what's going to lead you to the next moment. But it's always like shifting, it's always moving, and there are all these different ways you could have gone about it.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that up, because how you're behaving now is going to impact the next thing that happens to you, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And so that's why when Peter brought up the pauses, why that's so important, because I think in the pauses, honestly, it's coming to me, this is creative intelligence emotion. I really think in those pauses is where you get that little download, that where your subconscious comes up from the back of your head, and the intuition comes up and just pulls the ego right out of you, and puts you in the face of your spiritual moment, even if it's just a gas station and someone got in front of you, or the grocery store. But those are really important, tangible moments, because all those little pings, if we're
Mm-hmm.
not if we're not careful, those pings will add up, and we're going to end our day in like energetic debt. And we don't want to go to bed with that, because then we can't sleep, and we wake up, and the next day we're like, oh, we're just emotionally drained. We're like, what happened? Because you just inhaled so much energetic debt from all those little pings at the grocery store, the pings, in the car when you're driving, and all that. So yeah, no, Melissa, that was great. That was, maybe you thought that you didn't have anything to say, but what you said just like opened me up.
Oh,
So that was really
well,
cool.
thank you.
And I'm really glad that you listened, and that didn't wait 2 hours, right?
No,
I
I
just want to
only
put that out
waited an
there.
hour and a half, but not
Well,
two.
thank
So,
goodness. All right.
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for coming up. So yeah, so I love this. I love this conversation. I can't wait to continue this. I think we'll do a little bit more out of this book, but I just love the natural flow of this. So thanks, Sheila, for just opening this magic up for us tonight. It was great.
We did it.
We did it. All right. I want to say thank you, Frankie, Melissa, Deborah, for showing up, Peter, Monica, thanks for being here. Woody, who I think is technically a bot, but I'm not sure. He sometimes is the fireside bot that comes in and says, let me make sure she's not breaking any rules here. I don't know. But anyway, so we love us some Woody on the show. He never interrupts. It's nice. And do you have anything else you want to wrap up with, Sheila? If not, I like to tell you to everyone, I see you. You are beautiful. I really feel that way. That is my energy. It is sincere. It is true, and it's aligned with my creative consciousness. I don't remember what it was now. And so I like to tell everybody that I see you and you are beautiful. And you know what? Until next time that we see you here on Fireside, shine on. I'm going to take us off of camera. Thank you. And bring up this crazy weight bot. See what he's got. Terrible.